Once upon a time, in a small village nestled between rolling hills, there lived a wise king named Mwando. He ruled his village with a perfect blend of wisdom and love-kindness. The king had a beloved son named Peter, who was not only the apple of his eye, but also the rightful heir to the throne. Peter, a charming, kind, and gentle young man, was adored and admired by all the ladies in the village. Despite his royal background, Peter loved a simple and ordinary life. He enjoyed exploring the vast farmlands near the village. One fateful day, while Peter was climbing one of the tall trees on a piece of land, tragedy struck. He accidentally missed a step and fell from a great height, breaking his neck, unconscious and clinging to life by a thread. News of the prince's accident spread like wildfire throughout the village, plunging the entire community into despair. The king, filled with worry and desperation, called upon all the powerful healers in the land to save his beloved son. However, despite their best efforts, the prince remained unconscious and unresponsive to any treatment. The king's heart was filled with fear, as Peter was his only son and the future of the kingdom. Without an heir, the throne could potentially pass to another, and King Mwando could not allow that to happen. He desperately cried out to the gods, pleading for their divine intervention and the healing of his son. The villagers joined him in prayer and offered sacrifices, hoping for a miraculous outcome. After 7 long days, a great seer arrived at the palace with a glimmer of hope. He said that the gods had revealed to him that a young lady in the village was pregnant with Prince Peter's child. However, the seer did not reveal the identity of this young lady. King Mwando's heart swelled with joy at the prospect of an unborn grandchild who could potentially inherit his throne if anything were to happen to his son. He knew he had to find the lady as soon as possible to secure the future of his kingdom. The news about the unborn prince quickly spread throughout the village, and soon after, nearly all the ladies in the village arrived at the palace, claiming to be carrying the prince's child. In the heart of the village, there resided a lovely young woman named Nancy, who had been in a secret relationship with the prince for quite some time. Their love was hidden from the prying eyes of the villagers. A few days prior to the prince's unfortunate accident, Nancy discovered that she was expecting his child and was planning to inform him before the tragic incident that left him in a coma. Worried that nobody would believe her due to the prince's higher reputation, Nancy chose to keep her pregnancy a secret. One day, while Nancy was assisting her mother in the field, her best friend Mariah suddenly rushed towards her. Excitedly, Mariah shared news about a group of women at the palace, all claiming to be pregnant with the prince's child. Nancy, shocked and concerned, confided in Mariah about her own pregnancy. However, Mariah, consumed by jealousy and a desire for power, just laughed it off and left. On her way home, Mariah thought to herself, "So, because the prince is in a coma and cannot speak, everyone now is claiming to be pregnant for him, and you all just want to be queen of this land, don't you? Fine, let's all play this game." When Nancy arrived at the palace, she was surprised to see Mariah among the women claiming to be pregnant with the prince's child. The king was equally amazed by the number of women gathered at his palace, all claiming to be pregnant with his son's child. The seer had declared that only one lady was carrying the prince's child, so why were they all making such claims? Each lady insisted that the prince had impregnated them, causing confusion at the palace. Being a wise man, the king decided to subject the ladies to a series of tests to verify the truthfulness of their claims. The tests were scheduled to begin in 7 market days. During that time, the village was buzzed with activity. The huts were bustling and the men were occupied, while the ladies who had earlier faked their pregnancies sought out someone to sleep with them, potentially becoming pregnant. Mariah, determined to outsmart everyone in the game, kept her distance from Nancy, who was aware of her friend's deceit. On the 7th day, all the pregnant ladies gathered at the palace. The renowned midwife from the nearby village was summoned to confirm their pregnancies. To everyone's surprise, the midwife announced that all the ladies were indeed pregnant. Consequently, a new test was introduced, a seed planting test. Each lady was instructed to plant a special seed in the garden of the prince, symbolizing the life growing within them. The herbalist in the village had performed a ritual on the land, ensuring that only the lady carrying the prince's child would have the healthiest plant. As time passed, all the plants began to grow, but Nancy's plant stood out as the healthiest and most vibrant. Consumed by envy and desperation, Mariah couldn't bear to see Nancy succeed. In the dead of the night, she sneaked into the garden when the guards were fast asleep and killed all the plants, hoping to sabotage Nancy's chances. The following day, the entire village assembled in the garden to witness the outcome of the test. Unfortunately, they were met with the sight of all the plants wilting. The herbalist, devastated by the turn of events, announced that a final test would be conducted. This test not only aimed to reveal the mother of the prince's unborn child, but also held the potential to cure the prince himself. All the ladies were instructed to fetch the water of life from the magical river in the heart of the forest. The water brought by the true mother of the prince's child would have the power to heal the prince himself. Furthermore, she would become the princess and the future queen of the village. However, those who failed the test would become slaves to the queen, serving her for the rest of their lives as punishment for their lies and deception. At the mention of this punishment, many of the ladies stepped forward, confessing that they had lied and that other men in the village were responsible for their pregnancies. Although they were forgiven, they would carry the burden of shame for the rest of their lives. However, Maria stood her ground, refusing to back down as she couldn't bear the idea of Nancy becoming queen. She had a plan and was willing to risk it all. Therefore, heavily pregnant Nancy and Maria embarked on a journey to fetch the water of life from the magical river. The once best friends had become bitter rivals, each vying for the title of future queen of the land. On their way back, Nancy felt exhausted and decided to rest a bit. Little did she know, Mariah saw this as the perfect chance to make a move. Seizing the opportunity, Mariah switched their pots of water, taking Nancy's and leaving her own behind. Mariah firmly believed that her water, being pregnant with a prince's child, possessed the magical ability to heal the prince. Filled with confidence in her cunning plan, Mariah was convinced that she would pass the test, ultimately making Nancy her slave once they reached the palace. The whole village was anxiously waiting for their return, with their expectations uncertain. Mariah, filled with false confidence, went in first, presenting her water to the prince. Much to her disappointment, nothing changed. Confused and desperate, she wondered why the water she had exchanged didn't work. It was then Nancy's turn. Unknown to her that Mariah had swapped the buckets of water, Nancy approached with sincerity and love in her heart. Miraculously, as she gave the water to Prince Peter, he stirred back to life, his eyes fluttering open. It wasn't about the water, but Nancy's genuine connection with the prince that brought him back from the brink of death. The whole village burst into joy and celebration. The humble girl, who never deemed herself fit for the prince, was eventually crowned as a princess and later became the future queen. Months after, she gave birth to a robust baby boy, the young prince destined to inherit the throne. Prince Peter and Princess Nancy tied the knot, and together they ruled their kingdom with love and compassion. As for Mariah, her deceit and envy cost her dearly, leading her to spend the rest of her life as a servant.